And hello once more, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 69 of A Druid's Dozen. Yeah, my name's John, known in certain circles as the Rock Druid, and I'm a radio DJ. Got a couple of radio shows. There's the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM 93.2 FM in Bristol in the UK here. And then there's the Rock Druid Show on astroradio.earth, the international science and music station. And yeah, links to both shows are going to be down there on YouTube, over there on Facebook. We do the finger dance, yep. And yeah, basically this is me killing a couple of hours on a Saturday afternoon, going through some of my record collection, dragging out a dozen items thereof, and just chatting about them for a bit. So, without further ado, I'll get my glasses on and we'll pass straight in with this. Yeah, V or 5 by Vow Wow. There's the front. There is the back, and this came out 1987. If I slide this out, we have a little insert thing with a picture of Vow Wow with Neil Murray from Whitesnake there as the best on the bass. And then come on. Here we have lyrics. And slide this out. There we are, Astra Records, and knowing they know there is something there. Never mind, there's something or other. Yeah, couldn't read that properly. But my probably, you know, my eyes are going a bit. But anyway, Vow Wow, known in Japan as Vow Wow, with a B rather than a V. They're a Japanese metal band. I say they were, although I don't think they're playing at the moment. They do tend to reform every so often. But anyway, when they in the mid to late 1980s, when they decided to make a bid at success in Europe, they had to change their name because of the punk band Bow Wow. So Bow Wow became Vow Wow to stop Bow Wow Wow vowing to whatever. But anyway, I love this band. They were one of my favourite acts of the era. Saw them live quite a few times. Very, very good and entertaining outfit. The original bass player, whose name escapes me, he kind of had to, after their first year or so in Britain, had to basically return to Japan because of family illness and that. So they brought in, first of all, it was John Wetton on bass, and then for this album it was Neil Murray, although John Wetton does play bass on a couple of the tracks on this. Cracking album. Contains their big hit single Don't Leave Me Now. This one does, as well as The Girl in Your Egg was the other single of this album, which was also a minor hit. But just great tracks. Wanted for a Lifetime, War Man, Cry No More, Somewhere in the Night, Breakout. It's just a great record. Just a really good, fun, hard rock album. Got the atomic guitaring of Yoko Amamoto. Then there's Genki Hisomi on vocals, Reta Sumi on keyboards, Toshiro Nimi on drums. Tight outfit. Can't fault them for their playing, and just very, very enjoyable. Not my favourite Vow Wow album. The one before this, one with Night This City, and the Beta Metal Motion's a great album as well. So, but they're all pretty damn fine. Well worth checking out. If you've not come across Vow Wow before, give them a listen. You may like what you hear. Yeah, 1987 V or 5 by Vow Wow. Okay, for some of the CDs here, I'm going to finish up the looking at some of the ones I got free from the library. I've got a couple of others thrown in as well, but the first ones here are going to be Bristol Library surplus lending stock, and we can have this one, Rust in Peace by Megadeth. You got there. On the back, you got the this one's still got the library loan sticker thing on it. There's the disc. Go through the booklet. Oh yeah, this is Megadeth's Rust in Peace from 1990, I believe. Yep. Booklet, lyrics, photographs, etc. Now again, I do possess this on vinyl, but grab this because this is a one, it protects the original vinyl, and it means I can basically retire that to the racks, and this has got the bonus release cuts on here. Yeah, Megadeth's 1990 studio album, probably the last of the great Megadeth albums, although, you know, some of the other stuff's been quite sweet, but this one contains, you know, it's got the big hit Hangar 18, then there's other cuts on here like Rust in Peace itself, Holy War's Punishment Due, Dawn Patrol, Tornado of Souls, Lucretia. And then on here you've got bonus cuts. You've got a cut called My Creation, which is unreleased, and then I might have been a B-side, I can't remember. And then you got some demo versions of Take No Prisoners and Holy Wars, Rust in Peace, etc. Sweet album, well played. Got my favourite cuts in here, probably Holy Wars, Punishment Due and Hangar 18. But overall it's quite sweet. Love the artwork as well. Yeah, not much else to say about this really. It's just a bit of classic Megadeth, and yeah, I will drag out the vinyl album at some point with the full artwork, so you can look at that at some point. But anyway, Megadeth, Holy War's Punishment Due, again, great album. Okay, next up we'll have a bit of a classic. There's the front. Do you know what it is yet? Well, I'll tell you on the back there. Yeah, this is Animals by Pink Floyd, 1977. So there's the front, there's the back. Open the gatefold. Whip out the album. Lyrics. More lyrics. the disc, there's the sheep side, there's the dog side. And no, there's no run out groove message on here. Now, this is what I like, what a lot of people call Pink Floyd's forgotten album. This is the one people tend to overlook. You know, there's the two that came before this were Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here. The one that came after it was The Wall. And people tend to forget about Animals sandwiched in the middle, which is a shame because, you know, if I had to say hand on heart, pick my favourite Pink Floyd album, it would be this one. Apparently it started out with the tracks that were to become Dogs and Sheep, which were kind of leftover cuts from the Wish You Were Here section, Wish You Were Here sessions that were kind of reworked, extended, and yeah, just generally kind of rewritten completely, with two other songs. There's Pigs, 3 different ones, which was and Pigs on the Wing, which they lit the acoustic number, which is cut in half. So consequently, there's only 4 songs and 5 tracks on this entire album. So it starts off with Pigs on the Wing Part 1, then the rest of the first side is the full 20 minutes of Dogs. Flip it over, you've got Pigs on the Wing, Pigs, 3 different ones, and Sheep, which both of which are about 10 minutes long each, and then Pigs on the Wing Part 2 to wind out. Great album. This is absolutely stunning. To me, this represents Floyd at their best. Comes to a difficult point because you know, this was when the ructions that would later blow Floyd apart over the next 4 or 5 years were beginning to surface, and but you know, they've managed to keep the kind of internal differences out of the music, which is more than what you can say for The Wall and the Final Cut. But the band's just on fire. There's no way of putting it. It's a darker album than the 2 predecessors. It is a concept work where you know, the 3 animals involved, the kind of comparative aspects of British society. My favourite cut on here is probably Sheep, although, you know, it's like trying to pick between your kids. It's hard to actually select a favourite. Lyrically, Roger Waters is most biting and politically aware, and of course you've got to talk about the cover. Give it a good fold, fold out so you can see the full image. The pig, basically that is a 30-foot inflatable pig over Battersea Power Station, although apparently the actual image on the cover here is a composite of the pig and a separate bit of the power station kind of matted together. Famously, during the photo shoot, the pig broke loose, and now this is an interesting story. They say the pig like accidentally broke loose, and it overflew Heathrow Airport. Now, I know my geography of southeast England, and the pig crashed in Kent. If it broke loose from Battersea, it would have had to have headed west for some 30 miles, done a loop over Heathrow Airport, then headed kind of southeast to reach Kent. Doesn't make sense. Maybe the source that got the airport wrong. Maybe it was Gatwick Airport, not Heathrow. Or, you know, maybe there was someone controlling the Runaway pig, or whether it's just kind of over press hype. I don't know, but there's aspects of the Runaway pig story don't make sense, and also you know, I've got a sneaking suspicion it might have been let loose on purpose, either for publicity purposes or shits and giggles. But anyway, it left its mark. The pig, of course, was salvaged and is and was part of Pink Floyd's live show and Roger Waters' live show right up until the present day. But anyway, Pink Floyd Animals, my favourite Pink Floyd album, one that everybody should hear. Love it. Okay, next up, we'll have this one. This is the Runaway by the Magic Numbers. This came out in 2010. There's the back there. Again, this is another one of these library freebies. Pop this out. There's the disc. Nothing special there. Here's the booklet. Lyrics. Pictures of the band. Yeah, lyrics, more band pictures, credits, etc. Now, Magic Numbers, British indie rock band, came out of London, mid-2000s. Fairly unique in the fact that they're two sets of siblings. You've got two lots of brothers and sisters playing together, and they make up the Magic Numbers. Got to admit, they're a band that I hadn't heard properly until I got this album. I was aware of them, seen them around, but never really paid them that much attention. And then, as I saw this for free, I thought I'd give them a shout. And it's alright. Yeah, I can only say for this album, but because I haven't heard much of their other stuff, but it's okay. If you're into stuff like Florence and the Machine and kind of maybe even hints of Coldplay, then yeah, it'll be cool. But overall, I find this an Ed Sheeran album. Now, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran he writes some good stuff and he comes over as a really nice bloke. It's just that his music is so damn boring. Same with this. They come up, they probably very nice. These two sets of siblings are probably very, very nice people. Well, because their music's definitely kind of inoffensive, but it is forgettable. It's competent, it's well played. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, I put it on, and The Pulse is a great track, the opening cut. So is most of it, but the problem is, by the time I got to say like only 17, about 8 tracks in, I'd lost count of where I was. I had to keep listening to the lyrics and referring back to the lyric booklet to kind of work out exactly where I was on the album, because it was just kind of a bland, soft rock mush that just flowed one track into another with no real, nothing to really define it. It's dull. Shame. Because, you know, well, no doubt have they put their mind to it and they could actually come out with something interesting, but you know, it's all the same pace, it's all the same kind of approach to the songs, and it's just one after another, and eventually they run one into another, you know, and it just turned me off, and I found it just dull. Yeah, don't get me wrong, if you like the Magic Numbers, then cool, but just with me, you know, nothing offensive about them, it's just that I found nothing interesting about them either. Yeah, Magic Numbers, The Runaway, 2010. Good for curing insomnia. Okay, a bit more prog rock next. We'll have this. This is A Different Breed by Beltane Fire. There is the front. There is the back. Got to admit, I do like the artwork on this. Show it again. There's the back again. This came out in 1986, I believe. 88, the album. Or is that 86? I don't know. 86 or 88, one of the two. Rip this out. There's a dark, moody, shadowy picture of the band, showing me dark, moody shadows to show how dark and moody they are. There's the lyrics. Rip this out. CBS Records. 1986. I thought that would be about right. There's the disc. And just the catalogue number. Now, this lot, British prog rock band, out of, I want to say Coventry, although I may be wrong. Coventry rings a bell somewhere. There's not a great deal of info on the net about them, unfortunately. I came across these when they were supporting Marillion on the Misplaced Childhood tour, and yeah, and they were quite good. They had a remember getting their single coming back from the tour and going out and buying their current single, Cats in Blood, which is still over the 7 inches there, and yeah, they were all right. Then the album came out a bit later. I picked the album up, and yeah, the album's okay. They were definitely a band that were better live than they are on this particular album. This does suffer a little bit of overproduction. You know, they had an edge about them live, but seems to be a bit lacking here. Also, they're prog rock in that kind of it bites vein, you know, with a slightly poppy feel to them. But overall, they were quite sweet. And the album, although it doesn't really do the band justice, is competent and worth checking out. Although it is a bit like Hen's Teeth. It did have a CD pressed back in about the 1990s, but you know, I was looking to try and get a, because this is not rare, but not collectible, but quite rare. So I was looking for a digital copy, just to kind of back this up with, but couldn't find a digital copy anywhere. So I'm having to kind of keep looking. So it might be hard to get hold of these days. Cuts on here. You got Run Like the Beltane Fire, probably the highlight. Cats in Blood's all right, the opening cut and the first single. The Poacher is a pretty good tune. King Arthur's Cave, Different Breed, yeah, Night Fishing, etc. All pretty good stuff. So lightweight prog with a bit of a pop vibe to it. Not an earth-shattering album, but one for the sort of like prog rock collectors that may find that looking for sort of rare stuff. So yeah, 1986, Beltane Fire, A Different Breed. For proggy collectors, really. Okay, next up, another library freebie and a bit more Maximo Park. I talked about these last week. And there's the front, there's the disc in there, there's the back. Rip this out. Booklet, a bit battered. Lyrics. Lyrics and credits all the way through here, nothing much else. There we are. And this one came out in 19 I don't know. I honestly don't know when this was recorded. 2009. So it's actually before National Health that we talked about last week. Yeah, I mentioned last week when I talked about the National Health, which I got at the same time as this. Maximo Park were a band that I was aware of, but I had a few odd singles, but never really paid that much attention to. So when I saw this and National Health in the library going for free, I grabbed them. And I'm glad I did, because you know, it made me open my eyes to exactly how good Maximo Park are. Still prefer Feeder and that kind of old indie kind of vein, but you know, these guys are, you know, jump well up in my list of bands to respect. From the opening cut here, Wraith, like, you just go some great kids. The Kids Are Sick Again, Overland West of Suez, Let's Get Clinical, Roller Disco Dreams, all sweet songs, well played, well written. Get some more credits out of this so that I can credit a few people. Yeah, let's have a look. Who's the producer on here, because he deserves a credit. Nick Alunah, whoever he is, does a great job on the production. It can be heavy in places, it can be quite light and danceable in places, but it's just very fun, very enjoyable. And if you haven't checked Maximo Park out, do yourself a favour and please do. You will not be disappointed. Yeah, Maximo Park, Quicken the Heart, great. Need some fluids on board before I carry on. Now, this one also came out of that library freebie pile, but this one hasn't been put in one of those horrible big thick plastic cases. This has still got its original digipack there. This is, of course, Resolution by Lamb of God. There's the front. Opens up like that. There's the quite nice artwork behind the disc. Aye. There's the disc itself. And it's got the booklet here. Well, actually, no, it's not a booklet, is it? It's a fold-out thing with lyrics and credits and thanks list and all that lot. Now, this album came out in 2011, and was the start of a quite traumatic period of Lamb of God's history. During the tour for this album, there was the regrettable incident in I think Prague, I think it was, where a stage diver ended up getting killed after being assisted off the stage by the vocalist. And actually, I need this out so I can see the track listing. Yeah, basically, he was assisted off the stage by the singer, and Randall Blythe died. Court cases, appeals, generally a rum deal all round, and took many years, it took several years to kind of resolve. Yeah, but this is a great album, despite the kind of black history that's come after it. Cuts like Ghost Walking, Straight for the Sun, Number 6, Terminally Unique, Invictus, Insurrection, all great cuts. Yeah, they're Lamb of God are a band that I've kind of developed a liking for, especially since I started doing the radio shows. You know, that it's kind of bands like these, Trivium, Machine Head, Killswitch Engage, have all kind of I've gone, oh, I get them, yeah, kind of contemporary sort of mainstream metal, and you know, and I do like what I hear big time. Yeah, this is a pretty sweet album. I've got 7 other Lamb of God albums now. As to whether this is to be favourite, don't know, couldn't tell you. But all I do know is that I've had this digitally since it came out, and it does get played a fair bit. But I've now got a physical copy as a backup. So yeah, Lamb of God, Resolution 2011, pretty good album if you like your metal. Okay, next up we'll have a bit more vinyl and an all-time classic. There we go, ACDC, If You Want Blood. There's the front, you got it, there's the back. ACDC's first live album, and the only live album that came out while Bon Scott was alive, although I think there's been some archive material released since his death. But anyway, there's the disc, original Atlantic pressing, and no run out grooves on there, no inlay card or anything. Now this is one of the great live albums, one of the you know, back in the 70s there was, you know, 70s and 80s were probably the heyday of the live LP, and yeah, because these were the days before, even before VHS, and if you wanted souvenir of a band live, they were your only option really, either this or dodgy bootleg tapes, and you know, if you wanted really good recordings, you had to get the live album. So this came out, recorded in 1978 on, quote, the during the 1978 World Tour. And yes, during the European leg of their 78 World Tour, which released when they were touring the Power Rage album, yeah, various gigs were recorded. However, had it on good authority from many ACDC aficionados and official sites and that all the tracks off this were recorded at the Apollo Theatre in Glasgow in March 1978, and coincidentally the same place where loads of people did live albums, including Quo and Blondie. But must have been something in the walls there. And this is pretty good. Apparently there was talk about a double live album, which ACDC eventually did with Brian Johnson lineup, like back in the 80s. But was it early 90s? One of the two, early 90s. But then, but you got this. But they decided to keep it short and sweet. As a result, it's heavily edited. There's apparently there's bits chopped out of some of the tracks. But they on Let There Be Rock, apparently there's a chunk of Angus guitar solos that's been edited out. And on the Rocker, there was a bit where they kind of encored it and did a sort of like bit with bagpipes as well, because of, you know, Angus and Malcolm being Scottish descent. But they that was edited out of the original tape, as well as whole tracks being lost, but including things like versions of TNT, etc. But what you've eventually got is a 10 track, straight down the line, no nonsense, 40 odd minutes of ACDC at their finest. You know, from the opening cut, Riff Raff, you got Hell Ain't the Bad Place to Be, Bad Boy Boogie, The Jack, Problem Child, Whole Lot of Rosie, with the seminal version of Whole Lot of Rosie on here with the da-na-na-na-na-na Angus chant going. Rock and Roll Damnation, High Voltage, Let There Be Rock, the Rocker. Not a weak moment on it, just a great record. And yeah, nothing else to say really. Just if you want ACDC live, Bon Scott era, one of the seminal live albums of the period. You can do a lot worse than checking this out. Yeah. If you want blood, you got it. 1978. Cool. Okay, next up, we'll have a couple that aren't. Next two CDs aren't from the freebies, the library, these just ones that I dragged out the rack. Okay, this is White Hoarhound by Alunah, 2012. There's the front. There is the back. Pop this open. Nothing behind the disc, it's a digipack. But there is the disc. There's Alunah themselves. And quite a nice booklet with some old kind of woodcut artwork, lyrics, etc. Credits on the back. Now, Alunah, they're a band out of Birmingham, West Midlands area, and they play kind of folky doom metal. Very, very doom, very, very heavy, but they got a kind of light folk vibe to them. First came across them at the Till Death Doomers Park Festival in Bristol a few years ago. I had a great privilege of interviewing them then, and I've been in touch ever since. I've interviewed them a couple of times since, seen them live on several occasions. They've even done some jingles for the radio shows for me. And they're a great band. I've had a slight line-up change. I'm trying to think of the vocalist's name, the original vocalist. Yeah, Soph Day has since left and been replaced by someone else. But overall, you know, the band is still kind of quite sweet. This album is probably my favourite of them. I've got several of them, but this album's probably my favourite. You know, Chester Midsummer Watch Parade. Great song. Oak Ritual 1, Oak Ritual 2, Dementor's Grief, Belial's Flood, The Offering. Every track is kind of, it's a slow, ponderous, kind of almost hippie metal trip. Hard to describe really. It's got the pace of Sabbath, but it's got the lightwood and the heaviness of Sabbath, but it's got the kind of classic Fleetwood Mac, sort of Rihanna kind of vibe running through it as well. Makes for a sweet mix. And yeah, but I hastily recommend, if you've not come across Alunah, please do check them out. They're good. Okay, talking about Fleetwood Mac, leads us on to this one. Yeah, Fleetwood Mac's Tango in the Night from, oh, when was this? This was about 86. I'll have to have a look properly on the details. Anyway, there's the front. There is the back. Whip this out. Lyrics and credits there. Strange Records centre there, and on the B side there you got the proper label listing. No run out groove stuff. And let's see if we can get a date off this. 87. Knew it was somewhere around there. Yeah. 1980s Fleetwood Mac. Now, I'll talk about the good news first. There are two cuts on here which are quite memorable and quite cool. You've got the opening cut on side 1, Big Love, and then the opening cut on side 2, the rather excellent and best track on the album, Little Lies. That's where the good news ends, I'm afraid, because the rest of this album is just so freaking forgettable. It makes the Magic Numbers album I was talking about earlier sound like the most exciting thing on earth. Get the two singles out of the way, Big Love, Little Lies. The rest of it just falls into a kind of mush of 80s overproduction, complete lack of fire, just blandness. You know, it's funny, I played this album the other day when I dragged this out to review, and couldn't believe how sad it was. So I went and played a couple of other Fleetwood Mac albums to compare it to. I played Rumours, I played Tusk, and I played Fleetwood Mac from 1975. And, you know, compared with those three albums, this does not hold a candle to them. The two tracks I mentioned aside, the rest of it just kind of comes over as, you know, Fleetwood Mac by numbers. There's no real effort in the songwriting. The performances are played okay, but any fire and originality they had, Lindsey Buckingham has produced out himself, which is a surprise because, you know, Lindsey Buckingham as a guitarist and as a producer is normally noteworthy. Drop the ball on this one. It just falls into that kind of horrible 80s overproduced MTV mush. So unfortunately claimed many great bands from the 70s. Heart were another one that went down that vein, and so did Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, unless you're a massive Fleetwood Mac fan or a massive child of the 80s, this is an album I'll give a miss to, because I just find it forgettable. Yeah, Fleetwood Mac's Tango in the Night, 1987. Not really. Buy the two singles and that's it. Okay, last CD. Here we go. This is one that I picked up in the charity shop the other day. Just basically to kind of fill a rather obvious hole in my pop punk side of my collection. This is, of course, Dookie by Green Day, 1990. Oh, I can't think. When did this come out? 95, something like that. Anyway, there's the front. I'll check inside in a minute. There's the back. Right, there's the disc. $1994, something like that. Here's the booklet. Artwork and cartoons really, and lyrics. And then there's the obligatory photo montage on the back. Now, Green Day, I say I've got a fair bit of pop punk in the collection. Not much Green Day. And it was just a case of sin of admission rather than being anti-Green Day. you know, they've heard a few bits and pieces. I've had mates that have been into them, girlfriends that have been into them, and I didn't dislike what I heard. I just never really got round to collecting any. And then a charity shop the other day found a copy of this and Nimrod for 50p each, so I thought, right, grab them. I'll talk about Nimrod in the future show, but I thought I'll do this one while I'm here now. Because this was their big breakthrough album, wasn't it? This is the one that made them, I think, their third album overall. And the first time I've heard it in many years, played it the other day, and played it a couple of times the other day, found it quite enjoyable. Yeah, it's not the greatest rock album of all time. You know, I'm not going to turn around and say that, you know, I'm a massive, huge, think that Green Day are the greatest band ever. They're not. They are a competent, good, fun, emphasis on the word fun, sort of like pop punk band. And yeah, I do tend to find some of their albums, like American Idiot, they started taking themselves a bit too seriously. Although American Idiot has got its moments, it's also got its moments. But anyway, this album is shorn of all that kind of we're successful, we're famous, trying to make a statement baggage. This is just a bunch of kids on the way up, having a great laugh. Of course, the famous, big famous track on here is Basket Case. But chuck in stuff like Sassafras Roots, Welcome to Paradise, Pulling Teeth, When I Come Around, Chump, Having a Blast, Burnout. It's all good stuff. It's fun, it's in your face, it's up tempo, it's danceable, and yeah, I found it highly enjoyable, sort of rediscovering this album. Not going to say I'm going to be a massive, you know, going to claim they're the greatest band on earth. They're not. But they're just a good, fun pop punk band. Well, they were on this album at least. So yeah, I will not take anyone slagging Green Day off, but there again, I will not have anyone saying they're the best band ever, because they're just good and fun and shouldn't be taken at any more or less than that. Yeah, Dookie, Green Day, 1984. I enjoy it, so bite me. And lastly, we will have another bit of another classic. Yep. Oh, I can't remember exactly when this one came out either. I think it's 1876. Anyway, it's Sabotage, Black Sabbath. There is the front, with what has been called one of the worst album covers of all time. Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with that. I have seen worse, but not from big bands. There's the back. Right, this has got a very battered inlay card here. Warner Brothers Lost Leaders, wherever it is. 1975. And there's the Warner Brothers disc there. I think this may even be a US pressing. Anyway, Sabotage. I'll get this in here. So Black Sabbath's 1975 album, Aussie era, and although I'll admit I'm having trouble with this. I knew this was a problem when I got it out and played it the other day. It didn't want to go home. There we go. Right. I've got to admit, when it comes to Sabbath, I do prefer the Dio era. just because that's probably the stuff that I first listened to. The first Sabbath album I listened to in depth was Heaven and Hell. But you know, I'm not going to say the Aussie era's not out of not completely without merit. And although this album isn't my favourite of the Aussie era albums, this does contain my favourite Aussie era track, Symptoms of the Universe, which I think is an absolute killer of a cut. Other cuts on here: Super Czar, Thrill of It All, Going Insane, Hole in the Sky, Megalomania, all pretty sweet stuff. You know, I know the band were having a bit of a kind of problems. They had discovered recently that their record label and their management were conspiring to rip them off for vast amounts of money. And this album was written and recorded amidst the background of where was it recorded? Yeah, Morgan Studios, London. Yeah, it was written and recorded with the backdrop of court cases and sackings of backstage staff and all this kind of thing. And you know, the album cover, controversially, is supposed to represent that kind of image. They took a lot of drugs back then, did Black Sabbath, so I can't see it myself. But anyway, yeah, overall, it's a good album. Like I say, I don't dislike the Aussie period stuff. Just because I admit I prefer the Dio era doesn't mean that the Aussie period stuff isn't worth a listen. And this album is worth a listen. On fine form, you know, I do tend to find Aussie's vocals great in a bit after a full album, but that's just me. Always has been. Sorry, Aussie. You know, nothing against you personally. Just I find your voice great. But you know, musically, it's pretty sweet. Tony Iommi's guitar work on here is superb, especially on the aforementioned Symptoms of the Universe. You know, Walden Butler, tight as a duck's backside, and makes for great music. So yeah, Black Sabbath, Sabotage, 1975. Bit of a classic from Sabbath, if you ask me. So that's it for this week. Hope you like that. Quick heads up: there's going to be some schedule's going to be thrown into chaos over the next couple of weeks, because next week I have gigs on with the band and visitors, so I'm going to try and drop something quick in. And then the week after that, I'm going away to visit family for the first time in 2 years. So you know, I may not have a chance to record anything, although I will try and get something that's only kind of like a quick flip through a few singles ready for you. So so I hope you enjoyed, but you know, I will try and get something out. So I hope you enjoyed this week's offering. You know, am I wrong about Fleetwood Mac? You know, tell you know, what sort of ears should I listen to Tango in the Night Through? The magic numbers, are they as dull as I say they are? Again, feel free to disagree with me. Did you see Vow Wow back in the day? Yeah, your favourite Megadeth album, etc. Comments down there on YouTube, over there on Facebook. Always great to hear from you and talk about music. So until next week, peeps, keep your ears on, and I don't say every single last ones of you. Bye.